ಮಾಡೋದು ಎಲ್ಲದು ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಹಿಡು ದೋಸ್ಕೊಂತಾರ.
All right. So what I'm going to discuss in today's session, I'm going to discussing about the tumbling window trigger. So in what kind of scenarios we can able to use this tumbling window trigger? Let's, for example, I have a SQL Azure SQL database. So what I'm expecting here inside this Azure SQL database, I have a data inside the sales table. Okay, the sales table contains along with the sales ID and product. I'm sorry, and customer, comma, order, quantity, and order date over here. Okay, now I'm going to querying of the data from the sales table, so this sales information I have from 2024 Jan 1st to 2024 February, that means 0 to 29. So till these dates we have the sales information inside this table. Okay, let me bring this data. Yeah, so now my requirement is I want to copy a data from the sales table. I want to copy a data from the sales table, and whatever the data, like for every one day we are going to copying of the data for every 24 hours. That means 2024 0101 to 2024 0102. This is one file I want to copy. Next, again 2024 0102 to 2024 0103. So this is another file 1. This is file 2. So this is how we are going to send a start date and end date to your pipeline, and then it is going to execute for every 24 hours. For every 24 hours it is going to executing of the data. Okay, if you observe, whatever the normal trigger, schedule trigger can execute only for future and current. Future and current. But when you are coming to this tumbling window trigger, it will go to your past as well. A tumbling window trigger can execute in a past based on the number of intervals you have given. I want to execute for every 24 hours starting from 2024 0101. Starting from 2024 0101 over here for every 24 hours. So until I want to execute this one 2029, sorry, 24 02 29. So till this date I want to execute it over here. Okay, I want to execute it over here. So how to implement this scenario? So we need to pass these input parameters to your pipeline to filter the data in the sales table. Let me first create one sales table. Let me create some sample data. Give me sample, create, create script, and insert the sample data starting order date 2021, sorry, 24 0101 2024 02 29. Right, see, it is creating a tables. Let's copy this one. So this data I want to execute in my data source. Okay, I want to execute it on my data source. So what is your data source? You have to go to your Azure SQL database. Target DB, query editor. So just execute it over here. Run this one. There is no feature of auto increment. So identity property will give you the value, automatically it will generate. Okay. So let me drop and recreate. Right. Okay. Now we can able to see the data inside this. So this is how you will get ID, product, customer, order ID, and order quantity. Okay. So from this table, I want to copy a data by using a data factory. Let's go to the data factory. Try to create a pipeline. Let me take a new pipeline over here. Copy data activity. Create a new data set. Azure SQL database. Sales table. So I want to apply a filter on this query. Which query it is? Select. Let's go to SQL. Select sales table where the order date equals to what is the start date and date time? Order date between the start date time and end date time. I want to pass a parameters. Okay. I want to pass the parameters for the start date time and end date time. So let's create two parameters inside your data factory. Go to your data factory, create two parameters. Start date time, end date time. Okay. These two parameters you need to pass for this copy data activity when you are querying the data. So let's copy your query. So how to use that parameters over here? Add dynamic content. Here between start date time and end date time parameters you need to put it. And end date time. So whether this expression is correct or not, we don't know. So let me use the chat GPT. Please make correct expression in data factory copy data activity. Two parameters. Right, see here. So this is how they are suggesting. Let me copy this. Okay, so this is how the expression you can able to write down. Now click OK. Let me try to preview this data. So it is asking the parameters 2024-01-01, 2024-02-21. Click OK. Yeah. Okay. So this data I want to load into my blob storage. Let's create a Azure blob storage, delimited text file, which storage account, Azure blob storage 1. Select the container. Select the Azure. Then click OK. Let me change the folder name. New folder. Okay. I will create a new folder, and this file name also we can pass dynamically. Let's see. None. Click OK. So how to pass this file name dynamically? You can your wish that how you want to pass dynamically. You can create one parameter and current date and time. If you want to pass as the input parameter, you can able to pass it, or else you can put it dynamic content. So I'm going to pass whenever it is executing the UTC now function. I want to pass UTC now for whatever the current date and time for each file it will come. Okay, then click OK. All right, perfect. Now if I'm executing this pipeline, what will happen? As per the input parameters, whatever you are going to give start date and date time, it will filter the data in your source and syncing into target. From source to sync. From source to sync, it is copying of the data over here. So instead of manually executing, let me create a trigger, because my requirement is I want to execute for every 24 hours duration. I want to copy each file. I want to execute for every 24 hours starting from 2024-01 to 24 hours. So one file needs to be copied. Again another file. See here 2024-01 is a past. So whenever you are scheduling this one, starting date this one, interval time 24 hours, between these two ranges, start date time and end date time, I want to pass input parameter values. I want to pass input parameter values. So how to schedule this one? Simply create a new, the type is tumbling window. So when do you want to start this tumbling window? I want to start it January 1st. Okay, January 1st. For every 1 hour, for every 24 hours, every 24 hours, the time interval it will take. For every 24 hours means start time is this one, end time is 24 hours from this date time. So this is how it is going to execute continuously. So I'm going to start this trigger, click OK. So what is the start date time and end date time parameters you want to pass the input? Start date time is whatever the timing I have given here, right? Which timing I have given this one. And end date time is 24 hours plus. For this date and time, I want to make it 24 hours plus. Okay. So how can you get that start time and end time of your trigger? So first time when it is executing, it will take start time with this one, end time plus 24 hours. Second time when it is executing, start time is whatever the end time of previous one plus 24 hours. Okay, then click OK. Then let me get that parameters. We need to pass a trigger tumbling window start and end date time parameters. Yeah, here the trigger, whatever the trigger you are executing, trigger output dot window start time, that you can give it over here, and end date time also. All right, so this is how we can pass the triggers window start time. Window start time means the time whatever you have given. Output time means the time whatever you have given output time. I mean end time. Automatically it will take for every 24 hours over here. Then click OK, and then you need to publish all. So whatever the triggers already you created, right, those can be deleted. Only event based trigger I have saved. Okay, done. So publish as completed. Now let me see whether this is going to execute or not. Yeah, see, trigger 1 has executed, and inside the storage account, can we check whether that file is created or not? Go to the storage accounts. What is that storage account? Linked services, Azure Blob Storage 1, E-classes target 1 to 3. This one goes to containers, right? Under the new folder, see, it is continuously copying of the data for every 24 hours. Let's see this one. Click on edit. So there is no data in this particular time stream. So within the 24 hours duration, if you have a data, yes. See, this is belongs to 2024 0 to 05 range. So it is giving the data. So total how many files are coming? Total from 2024 onwards, February 2029, for every 24 hours, I am passing the time range to filter the data from my source, and it is creating those many. So from 2000 first time when it is executing 2024 0101, I have given in the tumbling window trigger. So 24 hours duration I kept. So start time, end time, this will come. Again second file, third file, fourth file, fifth file. So this is how we can able to filtering of the data. So a tumbling window trigger is a tumbling window trigger. Let me see what is tumbling window trigger in data factory. So inside the data factory, a tumbling window trigger is a used to schedule the execution of pipelines based on the fixed intervals or windows time. Okay. So when you want to execute pipeline at regular intervals for hourly, day, weekly in the past series of fixed time intervals, you can go back to your past date and time. You can pass input the schedule timings, you can pass as a input parameter value to your pipeline. So what is the scenario I have achieved over here? I have a data, sales data, like from jan 1st to 2024, and executed the sales of every 24 hours. For every 24 hours, I'm trying to query the sales based on the order date. For every 24 hours, what is the how many orders we are getting? I want to save like a each file over here. In such kind of situations, we can able to use this tumbling window trigger. This is the scenario. Okay, so total three type of triggers we have. One is normal schedule, another one event based or storage, next one is tumbling window trigger. Okay, so this is all about today's session. I just want to close the session bit early today, and the next session I want to discuss about a different topic of the deployment process and all those things. Git repository, how to maintain the code repository, how to create the CI/CD pipelines, and everything we can discuss. Okay, so the one question from someone is, uh, when I'm using a self-hosted integration runtime, can I use one self-hosted integration runtime for multiple data factories? Yes, you can able to use one self-hosted integration runtime in multiple data factories. So simply you need to share that one. So how to share that one? Let's, for example, let me goes to integration runtimes. Go to new Azure self-hosted. Okay, select this self-hosted. Sorry, go back. Yes, see here in the bottom, linked self-hosted. That means someone already installed for their data factory purpose. You can link that to your data factory. Click continue. Okay. So here what you need to do is, here you need to provide the resource ID. Where you can get the resource ID, whichever the self-host integration runtime already installed and created by someone, right? So he can goes to integration runtimes, open the self-host integration runtime. Once you are opening, you will get a resource ID. So that resource ID, you can paste it over here. So you don't need to install again and again. Okay. For example, on a particular machine, there is a SQL database. So there are two data factory projects wants to access that SQL database. So do I need to install two self-host integration runtimes? No, one is enough. So that can be shared by someone. So data factory 1 inside they have created. So data factory 2, if they want, they will get the resource ID of the self-hosted integration runtime and they can paste it over here. So you don't need to install again. Okay. So we have one more trigger type, custom events. Like for example, currently you can create these three, right? But the fourth one is under preview actually. Uh, f- if you want to make some more custom events means like the storage event trigger, what it is doing when a file deleted, when a file uploaded, trigger executing. Similarly, if you want to create your own custom events by using some other services inside the data factory, whenever a particular event occurred, I want to execute my pipeline. So such kind of scenarios, if you want to define, you can use the custom event trigger.